I guess I am a little behind. Okay, good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us. This morning's learning is sponsored by Rochelle Diamond and family in memory of Chaim Diamond, Chaim ben Arav Avram Mordechai Zichron Levracha. Should be a schus for his neshama. Thank you very much to the Diamond family. We'll begin with chapter 15, verse 1. Chapter 15, verse 1. So the sea has split, the Jews have gotten through, the Egyptians have drowned. At this point, the Jewish people sang this song to God, Vayomru Lemor, and they said, saying, Ashira la Hashem ki ga'o. I will sing to God, for he has elevated himself, that he cast horse and chariot into the sea. We're so used to the word, so we don't think of it perhaps. But when you think about it for a moment, the middle of the pasuk, Vayomru, and they said, Lemor. They said, saying, and then we say what they said. How about just Vayomru, and they said, Ashira L'Hashem, I'll sing to God. Why say Vayomru Lemor? And they said, saying. So the Orach Chaim, it's I think the second Orach Chaim on the pasuk. Second Orach Chaim on pasuk Aleph. Vayomru Lemor Ashira Peresh Sha'amru Zela Lemor. They said one to the other, saying, Peresh Sheyomru Shira Yachad Below Bechinas Hishtanus Va'afrada Ad Sheyiyu Ki Ish Echad. That they said this song together, and they didn't want to have any separation between them. In other words, the reason why it says something more is they urged each other, let's sing this song together. Hagam Heyosam Rabin, even though there were so many people and so many sentiments and so many ways to express things, this is a seminal moment for us as a nation. Let's express it together. V'niskavnu yachad v'asukein. And they had that focus, and they indeed did that. V'amru, and they said, Ashira, I will sing. Lashon Yachid. They said, I will sing. So why doesn't it say they said, we will sing? Ki'ilu heim ishachad. The reason to say I will sing, it's as if they were one person. Shezula zehayu omrim nashira. If not, they would have said we will sing. So the Orach Chaim says what it means more is they urged each other to sing together, and then once they started singing it or reciting it, they said I will sing because they felt as one. So what's being expressed here is the remarkable unifying aspect of this song of praise, because together they experienced a great, great miracle of God. So that's just an interesting idea. If you go on to Pasuk Gimel, still certainly near the beginning of the song of praise, Hashem ish melchama. Hashem is literally translated a man of war. Hashem Shemo. Hashem is his name. It's an interesting thing to think about, because Hashem is, of course, normally associated with mercy. Hashem is normally associated with mercy. And so it's hard to imagine mercy in conjunction with war. Elohim is the name for God being just and God providing, punishment. Might have said Elohim. Why does it say Hashem? Orach Chaim on Pasuk Gimel, Hashem ish melchama, Perush, Gam b'midas harachamim asa melchama. That when it came to mercy, God, with mercy, God brought war. V'lo she'ishtana mipnei zeh chas v'shalom el Hashem shemo. The idea being that even at a time of war, God still conducts his world with mercy. Al derech ki ani Hashem lo shanisi. Like the pasuk in Malachi, I am Hashem, I've never changed from being that. So the point is, the actual point is, because Hashem seems like an ironic name for when there's war going on, when he's bringing war upon the Egyptians, that's exactly why it refers to him as Hashem, to show that God still conducts this world with mercy, even at such moments. O Yirtzeh, another pshat, ki bizman atzmo she'asa milchama im hamitzriyim, bizman atzmo haya misnaheg b'midas harachamim in Yisrael. Another possibility is that at that time that he was waging war upon the Egyptians, he was conducting himself with compassion towards the Jewish people. So in other words, that even though he's destroying the Egyptians, that destruction of the Egyptians is an act of compassion and concern for the Jews. So that even in the destruction, he's still being merciful to an entity. Those are two ideas from the Orach Chaim. Okay. We could spend a lot more time on the Az Yashir, but this is a long parsha. So we're going to go ahead to chapter 16, verse 2. Chapter 16, verse 2. Actually, we'll start with verse 1. They've had the experience at the sea. They've said the song of praise. They had one or two experiences afterwards. And now chapter 16, verse 1. Vayisum Elim, they traveled from Elim, Vayavo, called Daspani Shalom and Barsin, Asher Bein Elim Uvein Sinai. All of the Jewish people came to this desert between Elim and Sinai. B'chamisha Sar Yom L'Chodesh Hashini, on the 15th day of Iyar, let's say some Me'eretz Mitzrayim. This marks a month since they left Egypt. Okay, thank you for the geographical locator and the timeline. Verse 2, Vayilonu kol hadas bnei Yisrael al Moshe v'al Aaron b'midbar. And all of the Jews complained to Moshe and Aaron in the desert. Verse 3, Vayimru leihem bnei Yisrael, and the Jewish people said to them, V'yutein Museinu v'yad Hashem b'eretz Mitzrayim, wouldn't it have been great if we died in Egypt? Shivteinu al sira b'asar v'achleinu lechem l'sova. When we sat on the pot, when we ate, we were sat by the pot of meat, we ate bread to our satiation. You took us out of this desert, you took us into this desert to kill us all in famine. Okay, besides the fact that that's a remarkable pasuk because it sounds like it was just amazing in Egypt, which of course it wasn't. But what they're speaking to is they're concerned about food. And now we're going to have the concept of the month. But what's very striking about this pasuk is the sequence of it. Normally, when the Bnei Israel complain, it explains in the Torah what they were missing, and then it says they complained. Here it says they complained, and through the quote, could kind of figure out what the issue is. Why is that? Why is it presented in this unique way? Ramban on Pasuk Beis, Vayilonu kol hadas bnei Yisrael al Moshe. Hayaroi sheyisaper akasov tchilas tanas hatluna kasher amar b'mara u'berefidim u'bechol hatlunos. It would have been appropriate that the pasuk should speak of the beginning of the complaint, the reason why they were complaining in the first place. It happened that way at Mara, it happened that way at Refidim, it happened in general, which we spoke about a moment ago. V'yomer kan v'ein basar lecho v'ein lechem l'sova v'yirav ha'am la'lachem. It should have said in the pasuk, there's no meat to eat, there's no bread, the people are very hungry, and then they complained. And instead it kind of flips the order. For Rashi Kosav, Shamra Kosav Bachamisha Sar Yom Bachodesh Hashini Lafrish Chaniyazu Vishabo Bayom Nishluma Hacharara Shotziu Mitzrayim V'Hutzrachu Laman Lametka She'achlu Mishyare Abotek Samach Aleph Sudos V'Kabbalas Rabboseinu. If you remember, we started with the previous pasuk and we said it's kind of interesting. It tells us how much time it's been. Like, who cares? So Rashi cites a medrash that actually what we're implying is they've made it until this point with the bread, with the food that they took along from Egypt. They've lasted this way for a month. And so therefore the Torah is implying now things have changed. That's what the medrash says. It's a very interesting thing in general. We've discussed this with the Ramban before. When the Torah highlights miracles, when the Torah doesn't really focus on them, but if you kind of put two and two together, you realize there was something miraculous. So obviously we don't have refrigeration out there. They're not ordering from Amazon or whatever, and they had food last them for a month, for a whole nation. That's remarkable. So to the fact that God didn't make a big deal about it in the Torah, he doesn't make a big deal about it here, but the Torah is alluding to the fact that it's been a whole month, and now is the first time that they're complaining about food. So we don't want to say explicitly, so now they didn't have food, because we would ask, what do you mean now they didn't have food? What did they have up until now? And then we'd be highlighting the miracle. So therefore, it's sort of like soft pedaled a little bit to make this point. Reb Avram Omar, ki hiskir akasu b'chamisha asar yom lachodesh hashini lemor, shekvar yesh lahem chodesh yamim sheyatzu mitzrayim v'achlu halechem asher hotziim mitzrayim u'mekneyem ki kahal rav hayu. The Ibn Ezra says that the pshat in the pasuk is, the reason why it talks about the 15th of the month, it's to teach that it had been a whole month since they left Egypt, and they had eaten the bread what they took from Egypt and their livestock, because there were a lot of people. Zetam hatzluna, and this is the complaint. So the Ibn Ezra, as is his way, doesn't seem to be as focused on possible miracles or implied miracles and the like. He's much more interested in what's explicit. So basically says, look, they it's been a month, they didn't have any more food to eat, and so now they're complaining. V'aldati hiskira kasu v'yavom in barsin lo diat lunasam ki bevom in barsin v'arachakum mitzrayim amru ma nochal u'ma yaspik lanu b'midbar hagadol asher anachnu boim bo. Ramban says, I'll tell you what I think the pshat in the pasuk is. It's been a month. They have no idea what's happening next. They're far away from Egypt. They don't see food around. Where are we going with all this? Maybe they figured originally they wouldn't spend that much time in the desert. Maybe they would just go through the desert and go to a city and live there. It's been a month. They haven't found any civilization yet. So now, all of a sudden, what in the world is going on here? V'yamru kulanu mesim b'midbar hagadol shavanu. So they say, we're going to die. So the Ramban says, forget about it for a second. They did have food. They didn't have food. How long did they have food? So, of course, presumably they had food. It wasn't miraculous, whatever. But the Ramban says the big complaint now is, my gosh, what is the plan here? It's been a month. No, we're not near anybody. Where are we going to get food from moving forward? This is where God now comes with the man. So we spoke about the Or HaChaim, that we have the word lemor at the beginning of those Yashir. We spoke about Hashem being referred to as the God of war. Now we spoke about the Ramban, Rashi, and the Ibn Ezra regarding the nature of the people's complaint that led up to the month.